look back at failed relationships, whether it was with a family member, friend, or special someone, there are one or two key things that broke it: ego and pride. If you're thinking about someone who moved away to, or circumstances make it impossible to see each other consistently, well, that's not a failed relationship because y'all still love each other and respect each other. Y'all just don't have any way to really visually see each other anymore. So no, I'm not talking about anything like that. No, I'm talking about ending a bond, severing ties, breaking trust. Those have ego and pride as common denominators. Be honest with yourself. If you think about someone that you used to be close with and do not talk to anymore, whether you refuse to talk to them or they refuse to approach you, um, there was a point where someone's ego took over. I'm sure now you're blaming yourself, right? You're blaming them, right? Or have you, made strides and realized that over time that it was you that caused that rift? Granted, it's only human nature that we think and act this way. We've all done it at some point in our lives, at every level, with family, friends, classmates, loved ones, co-workers, bosses, you name it. Shoot, even probably the mailman or something. I don't know. It could be the bag lady at the grocery store, the bag boy at the grocery store. It's totally fine, right? See, you say that it's fine, but there's this feeling of guilt that rushes through your mind whenever you think about one situation in particular. Maybe two, maybe three. Listen, just because something is normal or commonplace, that doesn't mean that it has to be or should be that way. Let's call it as it is. That's the mindset of a child. If you don't get your way, you'll just take your ball and leave, right? Never mind the fact that you live with them, see them at every family function, at school, at church, share group friends. So now is super awkward with everyone else. Uh, yeah, we can't deal with that. We can't live like that. Let's fix this. You have to fix this. We all need to grow up. Be accountable for your actions. Learn to fully apologize. I mean, let's start with personal accountability, okay? Your accountability to take ownership of your actions, decisions, and the outcomes of said actions and decisions is pivotal as being a functional human. We are all going to make mistakes, whether they be unintentional or intentional. This is how we learn and how we grow. I used to always have to tell this to my son when learning something new, especially when he was playing soccer. And in fact, honestly, just earlier this afternoon, when we were learning how to drive, he's learning how to drive. I'm putting him behind the wheel now. He's tall enough where he can actually touch the pedals and see over the dashboard pretty easily now. Well, we had this conversation going back to his soccer days. We had this conversation after a game where he was obviously feeling down, and I asked him what was wrong, and he said that he didn't like playing because he wasn't as good as the other kids. And mind you, he was only what, his fourth or fifth game in. I mean, fourth or fifth game ever played. So like today, he only this is only his fourth time. Literally, it was his fourth time touching the pedals and steering by himself. Of course, me in the passenger seat. So I told him then the same and told him then today the same thing I told him back then when he was playing soccer. No one jumps into something they've never done before fully skilled at it. It takes making mistakes to learn. So yeah, you suck. But you can get better, and the only way you can get better is by seeing the mistakes that we made, taking ownership of those mistakes, seeing what we can do to change those things, and making the proper changes and staying consistent with making those proper changes. This is how we get better in every aspect of life. In school, we are consistently taught new things, allowed to allowed to make mistakes, and tested in the end to show the progress that we made. When it comes to work or our career, we have to be educated on how to do certain tasks. There's an orientation and training program in the medical field. We have modules or short learning programs, for those who don't know, that update us on new techniques and protocols on a yearly and sometimes even monthly basis. And when it comes to relationships, oh man, good grief. You are constantly learning people because people are forever changing. And that's not a bad thing. We grow, we learn, we adapt, we progress. What used to be a thing might not be their thing anymore. I mean, a basic example are palettes. Okay. Um, I love to cook. I think I've mentioned that on an episode before, when I was first getting started. Cooking is one of my loves. Yes, I remember talking about this, cooking and music. Um, Cooking is one of my loves. I love to cook. I love to cook for you. I mean, if you're my girl, believe me, I'm going to get in that kitchen, and if I know that you really appreciate my cooking, I'm definitely going to get in that kitchen, get behind that stove or in front of that stove, however you want to call it, prep, do whatever I have to do, and I'm going to blaze something up to make sure that you are thoroughly satisfied. Uh, just bear with me. I'm sorry. I digress. But anyway, I used to love butterscotch candy as a kid. Okay. And would, but now I would gag on anything that has to do with hard candy. Wouldn't touch it to save my life. I used to gag and hate anything uh, that was grown from the ground as far as fruits and vegetables are concerned. Now, like I said, I'm the exact opposite. I love anything that's dark green. I mean, give me broccoli, give me spinach, give me kale, give me collard greens. I love that kind of stuff. I hate hard candy, but I still dig them. I'm still digging on chocolate, but I can't do a butterscotch. I couldn't do that to save my life now. Nerds, gross. It's despicable. But I used to kill that stuff when I was a kid. What I'm getting to, and my basic point is what I'm saying is that we grow, we change. We're not the same person that we used to be. Heck, every 7 years, you're basically walking around in a brand new body because all your cells that you had 7 years ago have completely changed. So, um, like I said, getting back to my point, mistakes are okay as long, are okay to make, just as long as we take accountability for those said mistakes. Because look, we're growing and we're learning. You accept what you did, you learn from it, and you make the necessary changes to improve upon yourself. The benefit of personal accountability is essential to personal growth and development. It promotes self awareness, self discipline, and a sense of control over your life. By taking responsibility for your actions, you can build trust and credibility with others. Think about it. People lose trust in you when you refuse to take ownership for your own actions. 9 times out of 10, they already know the truth. But for some odd reason, you still want to just hold back and not want to be accountable for something that you obviously did. People lose trust in you when you refuse to take ownership of those actions. A lot of times, people will lie about what they did to avoid the consequences of the fallout or to save face and to make sure that, they aren't looked at in a lesser light. Ironically enough, by refusing to assume responsibility, they step directly into that lesser light. See, the truth comes out eventually. And when you make a habit of pushing away your accountability, you push away those individuals once they learn the facts the hard way. I mean, honestly, I would prefer, if you lied to me, I would prefer you come to me and tell me, you know what, I lied. I'm sorry. This is what really happened. Instead of me just figuring it out or just finding out some other kind of way by somebody else telling me, no, that's not what happened. Or I just using, common sense, being able to figure out, oh, I know exactly what happened. Don't put that person that you claim that you love in that situation, because it's like the Chicken Little situation. The sky, you keep saying that the sky is falling, and clearly it's not falling. Or the little boy with the wolves and everything. You keep saying, you keep screaming wolf, 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 and there's no wolf around. Then guess what? One day the sky really is going to be falling, and not only is it going to, and the wolves really going to come around the corner, and not only is it going to affect you because they don't believe you, and now you're knowing that your life is in danger because of whatever is going to be falling from the sky, and whatever wolf is coming around that corner is going to attack you. It's going to attack those loved ones as well, who's not focused, or who's not there to really realize what's about to happen, because they're just completely ignoring anything that you say, to the point that anything that you say is going to be a lie. You don't want that. You don't want to ruin those relationships, not only personally, but professionally as well. I wouldn't refer a friend or family member to a job when I know that this is an individual who has this type of issue. How does it look on me whenever that person gets hired and causes some issues that could have been avoided had they just owned up to their consequences of whatever their actions were? A company would not, nor should, advance anyone who is, willing to ignore and hide their mistakes. That said, cultivating and developing the awareness of accountability requires a willingness to be honest with yourself and learn from your mistakes. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but sometimes repeating a situation, repeating something is the only way for people to fully understand and embrace exactly what you're trying to bring to the table, and what you're trying to explain to them. You can cultivate personal accountability by setting clear goals, establishing a plan of action, and holding yourself accountable to your progress. Seeking feedback and support from others can help you stay on track and achieve your objectives. Finally, adopting a growth mindset and embracing a learning-oriented approach can help you develop and adapt to succeed in changing this toxic trait. Now, with all that said about accountability, you must have that in order to know how to properly apologize to someone, including yourself. I think there is a fundamental problem with humanity in regards to this. We don't know how to give an apology. You must start with acknowledging responsibility. The first step in apologizing is to, again, acknowledge responsibility for your own actions. This involves accepting that you have made a mistake, taking ownership of the consequences of your actions, and expressing remorse for the harm caused. It would be nice to see that you accept the mistake, but if you come forward and admit to that mistake to the person that you wronged before they find out, that's a higher level of growth. I said something about that before. See, it's that transparency, the openness, that builds you up and strengthens your bond. There's a higher chance for forgiveness when you fall on your sword and take full ownership of your folly. It's a respect thing, really. I see that you respect me and our relationship when you cast yourself and your ego or pride aside, and you don't care about why you did it or try to defend your actions. All you care about is that you hurt someone close to you, and that you have to do what's needed to fix it. Because when you truly love someone, whether it's your special person, a family member, a friend, coworker, whoever, seeing them hurt by the actions that you caused will emotionally, mentally, and physically pain you. Making amends, apologizing involves taking steps to make amends for any harm caused. This may involve offering restitution, making changes to your behavior, or taking other steps to address the consequences of your actions. You start off by accepting whatever consequences of your actions that come your way. If it affects others, then you need to make it up to them in some type of way. Um, and it has to be on that person's call. For instance, they want you apologize to somebody and you say, what can I do to make it up to you? And they want you to take them out to dinner at a place of their choosing. It has to be a place of their choosing, not yours. My only thing with this is that, restitution can't be the next step of going down another toxic hole or digging deeper in that hole of toxicity that started in the first place. If what you did to them was bad enough, they shouldn't suggest something as bad or worse. The eye for an eye mentality is what I'm talking about. Just because you punch them in the face doesn't give them equal right to punch you back. No matter how satisfying it may seem, violence is not balanced with equal or greater violence, as toxicity is not balanced with equal or greater toxicity. Um, Finally, apologizing involves committing to change. Uh, Taking steps to prevent similar mistakes from happening in the future. This may involve seeking feedback, learning from your past mistakes, and making a conscious effort to behave differently in the future. You have to feel out what it is that you did wrong because it may not be clear and obvious to everyone. You understand? For example, not everyone knows or gets my humor. Okay. Just a couple of weeks ago, someone was upset by something that I said in a joking manner. And even though it was clear to me and others that work around me the most, that it was just that I was just goofing around. It was just not, there was nothing, malicious meant by it. It rubbed this person the wrong way. So she, kind of attacked me back. And I was kind of like miffed by it. I was like, wait, what the heck? What just happened here? So a couple of minutes later, kind of let it cool off for a second, and I explained myself to this person, and this person did the same back to me. So we both realized that it was just a bad second of communication, and we actually hugged it out in the end. Uh, Both of us said, "Hey, I'm sorry, my bad. That's just how I am. I just joke around like that." And this individual was like, "Well, hey, my bad. This is how I respond to when I think I'm being, personally attacked." So, like I said, we understood each other after that. Like I said, we hugged it out, and we're cool ever since. No big deal. It ended just like that. Now I learned that I have to be more cautious when joking around with people who don't fully know me, and I don't fully know them. And I have to take that incident with me wherever I go and interact with somebody new. But the key part of this is recognition of self and consistency and changed behavior. Now, granted, I can't say I'm being consistent in changed behavior right now because I really haven't been in situations like that since then. But, I still keep it in not really top of mind, but in the back of my mind. And I hope that I'm able to bring it back forward to top of mind whenever I'm in another situation similar to that. Um, but like I said, we both hugged it out and we're cool, and we won't have that issue anymore. Uh, but the key parts of this is recognition of self and consistency and change behavior. It's utterly pointless to say I'm sorry and continue to do the same thing over and over, even if it's towards different people. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, right? Well, apologizing for the same things and continuing to do said things shows lack of accountability and no respect at all for the targeted person and the relationship. So, how can you be trusted or respected if you constantly show that you do not respect that person? By demonstrating a commitment of change, individuals can rebuild trust and repair damaged relationships. It takes time, but it starts with you putting in the work. You have to put in that work. Words don't show a thing when your actions, and even more so your instinct, prove otherwise. So if you value that person in any capacity, show them how remorseful you truly are. So basically, just be better at admitting where you fell short. Legitimately apologize for what you did, learn from it, take the necessary actions to change the damaged behavior. Doing so will not only benefit the relationship that you may have strained with that person, but make you a better person now and tomorrow. And who knows who's watching? You know, if you got little ones around, they may be paying attention to what you did. And that's a lesson that you can teach just by their observing your actions. So try to lean on that. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Just Bear With Me podcast. If you liked what you heard, feel free to follow me on Instagram at justbearwithme_podcast. And if you have any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to hear, DM me or email me at justbearwithmepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for giving me a listen. Spread the word about the podcast and make a great day.